19 hours GMT. Hello, welcome to News 360 from the News Hub here in Accra. I am Isa Moni.
And I'm Natalie Ford to look at the top stories this evening.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paint, Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Spray,
Premier Health Insurance.
Police take charge of Tamale Teaching Hospital after irate youth chase out Chief Executive Officer.
Greater Accra Regional Security Council direct chiefs in Gamashi to limit traditional pukwe sprinkling to their homes and palaces.
Businessman Alfred Agbesi Woyome settles 4.6 million cedis out of 51.4 million cedis debt owed the state.
Also in the headline, government to construct 10,000 housing units for security personnel.
Ahead in business, Ghana Association of Bankers justify Bank of Ghana's decision to support well-managed local banks to raise the new minimum capital.
And right on the foreign front, two senior Kenyan government officials charged with fraud over the building of a $3.2 billion Chinese-funded railway line. Remember, we are live on channel 279 on DSTV. Now, let's do the first story tonight. The police in Tamale have taken charge of the Tamale Teaching Hospital after some irate youth believed to be NPP sympathizers chased out the chief executive officer from his office. The group is accusing Dr. David Kaubila of incompetence. Now let's get to the phone line straight away and speak to Deputy Superintendent of Police, DSP Mohammed Yusuf Tanko, who is the Northern Regional Police Public Relations Officer. Good evening, Chief, and thank you for agreeing to speak to us.
You're welcome.
Right, sir. So this is not the first time that this issue or something like this has happened in the country. What have you gathered so far?
So far, the hospital is calm. We have deployed men there. Investigations have started. But unfortunately, since the incident happened, we have not been able to get in touch with the CEO or the administrator who were the victims to give us statements. And their cooperation in this investigation is very key. We are looking forward to their coming, and we are assuring that as soon as we get in touch with them, even if it is this evening, that they want to work at their offices, we will have the office open for them with or without the keys.
Right. So does the Tamale Hospital has security on its own? Otherwise, how could these young people have gotten there to sack or chase out the chief executive?
On that, I think you need to speak to the hospital. But as far as we are concerned, we were called that some youth have seized the offices of the chief executive and the administrator. As soon as we got that information, we sent men there. Unfortunately for us, when we got there, the perpetrators had just had gone away, and we don't know if there was a time lapse between the time that they came there and the time that we were called. But we didn't meet them. But we are trying to investigate and locate them and have them arrested and prosecuted.
Right. So, what can you tell us about the situation at the Tamale Hospital right now?
The situation is very calm. We have policemen on the ground. Doctors and nurses are going about their business. Patients who are receiving treatment, and we don't have any concern for now.
So, what measures have you put in place to stop them from coming back?
We have dominated the hospital. We have secured all the places, and we will continue to be there till the situation comes back to normalcy. In that notwithstanding, we are still trying to locate the perpetrators and then have them arrested and prosecuted, as I've indicated already.
Right. Deputy Superintendent of Police, DSP Mohammed Yusuf Tanko, is the Northern Regional Police Public Relations Officer. We are grateful for your time, sir.
Now, in some other news this evening, the police in the northern region have launched an investigation following the death of 3 herdsmen believed to be Burkina Faso nationals. Now, their decomposed bodies were retrieved from a forest near Kalidu in the Bole district. The 3 identified as Osman Hadi, 18 years, Lassana Saku, 21 years, and Haruna Hussein, 19 years, were reported to have taken their cattle to the forest to graze and did not return home. The owner of the cattle, Zakari Yahaya, had earlier reported that 3 of his herdsmen were missing. After a thorough search, their bodies were found dead in the forest. The bodies were released to the family for immediate burial at the crime scene due to their state of decomposition.
Now let's turn to the story that is breaking out. The Greater Accra Regional Security Council has directed chiefs in Gamashi to limit the traditional Kukwe sprinkling to their homes and palaces only. The RECSEC directive followed threats from various factions in the area not to allow a certain chief to perform the traditional rite. An emergency RECSEC meeting early on Monday arrived at a decision in order to prevent avoidable conflict. The Greater Accra Regional Police Command has also been encouraged to intensify security to ensure there is no violation that will lead to conflict. The annual Homowo celebration of the Ga and the Ga Dangme has never been peaceful among the people of Gamashi as a result of persistent chieftaincy disputes. Security intelligence still pointing at hard times this year following due to outstanding chieftaincy issues.
And on that subsequently. In some other news, the Controller and Accountant General Eugene Ofosu-Hene Asante has told the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament a letter has been received from the Auditor General confirming the payment of 4.6 million cedis out of 51.2 million owed the state by businessman Alfred Agbesi Woyome. This was after the committee at its first sitting to review the 2016 Auditor General's report sought answers to progress made over the period to retrieve the money from the businessman.
Appearing before the committee were officials of the Finance Ministry, the Auditor General Department and the Controller and Accountant General Department. The committee, in reviewing the report, asked questions concerning the repayment of money paid to businessman Alfred Agbesi Woyome by the state.
The letter dated 8th of March 2018 kindly find below a computation of payments made by Mr. Woyome based on the terms of settlement and the proceeds from the Ganeshi. Monies collected or recovered from the Ganeshi order 167,565 cedis, 62 Ghana pesos. Then B, monies paid as a result of settlement 4.5 million. So the two sum up to the 4.667566.62.
When asked what the payment terms are between the state and Woyome, the Controller and Accountant General Eugene Ofosu-Hene Asante indicated he is not aware of the payment terms.
I don't know the type of settlement that the court entered into with Mr. Woyome. We have a letter from the AG's office confirming how much has been paid. So I think if you need further information on the settlement terms, I think you do well to get in touch with the AG's office and then ask for the term sheet.
A $3.8 million judgment did awarded to the country against Dunkwa Continental Mining Company Limited and over 50 million euros loan to the National Investment Bank was not captured in the books of the Finance Ministry and the Controller and Accountant General Department. In respect of the judgment did against Dunkwa Continental Mining Company Limited, Deputy Minister for Finance Abena Ose-Asare said the court's order to retrieve the judgment debt could not be pursued because the owners of the company could not be traced.
It is the duty of the Attorney General to pursue this matter, and like Controller said, we have engaged them and we are still engaging them to help us retrieve whatever judgment that was given in our favor.
Appearing before the committee were also officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Also making news tonight, government intends to construct 10,000 housing units for the security agencies to address its accommodation challenges. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, made this known when he performed the sword-cutting ceremony for the construction of 320 housing units at the cost of $45 million for the police service at the training school at Tesano in Accra.
The project comprises 102 two-bedroom facility and another 208 three-bedroom apartments for the service. It would have community center, a school, sports and recreational centers. The project is expected to provide 800 direct and indirect jobs. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, expressed concern about Ghana's housing deficit, which currently stands at 1.7 million and could rise to 2 million by 2020. He said government intends to roll out another 10,000 housing units for the security agencies to address its accommodation challenges.
As government strives to meet the accommodation needs of the Ghana Police Service, I pray that the service will meet the highest standards of professionalism which is required of them. I urge the Amandi Holdings Group Limited, who are the builders under this project, to continue to show the same levels of efficiency with which they undertook the construction of the previous security housing projects.
The Inspector General of Police, David Asante Apietu, lauded government for facilitating the project.
This project, when completed, will certainly be a morale booster to those personnel who will be accommodated. It will further serve as a source of hope for many who make do with substandard structures.
Minister for Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, underscored the need for providing befitting accommodation for the security services.
I'm in active collaboration with my colleague Minister for Interior that let's give every barracks anywhere in this country. If you stepped out and you saw where those who suffer turnover safety are residing, it will be a place of dignity.
Minister of the Interior, Ambrose Derry, hinted on an 800 million cedi earmarked by government to retool the police service.
As I speak to you, the present ratio of police to civilian population is 1:848, which is far worse than what the UN requires of 1:500. Thanks to Mr. President, we're recruiting this year 4,000 police, unprecedented, the highest ever achieved in Ghana.
The project would be executed by Amandi Holdings, an Israeli company.
Let's turn to health this evening, as 2 weeks after undergoing whole and heart corrective surgery at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra, David Garte is doing well and recuperating. Lucy Ayambila visited the 2-year-old beneficiary of the 3 Foundation and MTN Foundation support at Winneba in the Central Region.
2-year-old David Garte was diagnosed with a whole in heart condition, also known as a ventricular septal defect, at age 4 months at the National Cardiothoracic Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. His parents could not raise the $6,000 needed to correct the defects. With the intervention of 3 Foundation and MTN Foundation, little David underwent a surgery to correct the defects at the National Cardiothoracic Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital 2 weeks ago. Little David can now engage in some activities in the house without her mother worrying.
I can see he's doing well now. I thank TV3 and MTN Foundation for the intervention.
Her mother, Mercy Akwa, could not hide her feelings and expressed her gratitude to the 3 Foundation and MTN Foundation. The Sustainability and Social Impact Manager at MTN, Robert Kuzo, had this to say.
I'm happy our partnership has been able to change lives, to give a second chance to life to these young and innocent people. And we would want to also do more so that we can change a lot of lives.
Richard Ahiagle is the Corporate Affairs Manager for Media General.
I'm quite happy that so far we have successfully completed surgeries for a number of children, specifically David Garte and James Tetefio, who have gone back home and they are recovering quite well. And we're excited that we're part of their story and we are giving them a chance at life. At 3 Foundation, we really want to make an impact in the life of young children through the Think Hard, Save a Child campaign. So we want to say a big thank you to everybody who has supported us so far, the MTN Foundation and every single Ghanaian who has donated to this cause. But we just started, there's more to do. So get in touch with us, contact us directly. Also, you can donate directly through our mobile money channel.
On MTN video report today, our concerned citizen journalist highlights the area invaded by cows at Teshi in Accra.
Somebody may ask if this is really Accra, the capital city of our beloved country, Ghana. Look at this. We are invaded with cows, bulls everywhere. This is Teshi around Lekman Hospital. Our homes, our area, every place is invaded with these cows and bulls, chasing our children here and there all the time. Are we safe? Capital city of Ghana, full of cows, defecating everywhere here and there.
Sometimes I get scared if one of them would just push their head in my glass if I have not rolled my car door up when I'm driving. It's scary sometimes. But you can also send your video report via WhatsApp on 0551 433 044. You're watching News 360.
Welcome back to News 360. Let's now delve into some news from the world of business, starting off in the banking sector, as the Ghana Association of Bankers is justifying the decision by the Bank of Ghana to support well-managed local banks raise the 400 million cedis minimum capital requirement. President of the association, Alhassan Andani, explains that arguments that the central bank is bending its own rules are flawed.
I think it's about government and a central bank being responsive to legitimate concerns raised that there's a need to have significant domestic presence. When I say domestic presence, local shareholders driven and led banks that will sort of be part of the financial intermediation. They would expect that after some time, when these banks have gained roots and properly managed and making profit, they would pay back, you know, or the government will put those shares back onto the stock exchange for the generality of Ghanaians to participate in.
Alhassan Andani assured depositors that interventions by the central bank will ultimately safeguard their funds.
Part of the action taken by the central bank is to protect these depositors. As an association, we are happy they've done that all the time, you know, and making sure the people in between, the central bank making sure that the intermittent, you know, reviews of our operations brings up these issues and they deal with it in a timely manner. So yeah, my plea with our depositors and the general public is that together with the central bank, the financial services industry has shown an absorptive capacity. Yeah. You know, we're not saying there aren't things to be done. There are great things errors and things to be corrected. But, you know, it's good we're going the way we're going.
4 months to meet the deadline, some indigenous banks are reportedly working out modalities to reduce their staff strength. More than 3,000 professionals in the banking sector are expected to be affected in a move intended to, among other things, reduce the bank's operational cost as they consider many options, including measures and acquisitions, to raise the 400 million cedis minimum capital requirement.
Meanwhile, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Ichiahene is calling on the central bank to investigate auditors of the 7 collapsed banks and, if found culpable, be sanctioned. He said the auditors failed to do an extensive testing to warrant giving the banks a true and fair financial position.
An audit is the examination of the financial reports of an organization by someone independent of that organization. The financial reports include the balance sheet, an income statement, a statement of changes in equity, a cash flow statement, and notes. The purpose of the audit is to form a view on whether the information presented in the financial reports are true and fair and reflects the financial position of the organization at a given date. Following the collapse of the 7 banks, stakeholders have not only pointed fingers to the regulator and the boards of the various banks for the mess, but auditors as well.
What audit work did they do? How did they say that the businesses were going concern when the business was not even, it was a dead concern? If a liquidity support of 620 million has given to somebody, it's one of your tests. You print their statement, Bank of Ghana statement, with any bank statement, and do it. So you will find this money in. And then you begin to find out how were they disbursed.
The auditors of the 7 collapsed banks were PKF for Capital Bank, Deloitte & Touche for Unibank and Royal Bank, J. Mills Lamte & Co. for Construction Bank, EY for UT and Sovereign Bank, and Morrison & Associates for Beige Bank.
If they have audited it and collected their fees and the companies did not survive, or if the IMF has called for asset quality review only to find out that these books have been audited, I think the auditors also have a role to play. This could be contributory negligence, or it could be dereliction of duty. And if they are found with all these things that we are saying, they must also face the full rigors of the law. Nobody should be above the law. Nobody.
Financial analyst Joe Jackson is disappointed at the auditors for failing to detect and flag the irregularities.
What about the auditors who gave these institutions clean bills of health year after year? Where are those auditors? And how can we trust them when they keep saying, when they keep allowing these institutions to run, and yet today we are seeing that there were such massive problems in their institutions? Can we trust any report they give us?
Well, certainly the work of the auditors comes into question here. Let's stay in the banking sector as the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Chartered Economists, Ghana, Gideon Amisa, is advocating enhancing the operational independence of the Bank of Ghana. He suggested a secured tenure of office for the Governor of the Central Bank.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Chartered Economists, Ghana, Gideon Amisa, proposed an amendment of the tenure of the Governor and the composition of the Board of Directors in the 1992 Constitution to reflect that of other independent constitutional bodies like the Electoral Commission and National Commission for Civic Education.
Because our Constitution requires that it is an independent constitutional body, so it is about time that we begin to engage in a public debate on the operational independence of the Central Bank. Perhaps we should make it constitutional independent body so that the term of office will not be restricted to a political term of office.
This, he noted, would eliminate political interference in the operations of the central bank.
If we give a term that is that short, like 4 years, then of course the independence of central bank is tied to some political interference, and that would trickle down to the supervision that we are seeing that coming from central bank to the commercial banks.
Now, in some other business news this evening, MTN Ghana has settled on modalities to pay customers who were duped in the recent Savannah brokerage Ponzi scheme. The telecommunications network will, from Friday, August 17, disburse a total of 12.2 million cedis to affected customers.
MTN Ghana has finalized modalities for the disbursement of funds to victims of the Savannah Brokerage Investment Limited's Ponzi scheme. The decision for the payment was taken after management met with representatives of the victims of Savannah Brokerage Investment Limited's Ponzi scheme, the Ghana Police CID and the regulator. General Manager in charge of mobile money services at MTN, Elihene, said funds in the scheme were frozen as per directions of the police and other authorities.
We have not had any relationship with Savannah Brokerage as a business. They haven't set up with us to use mobile money for anything. So we got a consent. We engaged the regulator, and then we took the decision to go ahead and freeze the operations, because it was not legitimate and the regulator has very little knowledge of it. And we tried to engage customers. They also could not tell us exactly who these people were, where their offices were, and we could contact anybody. So from the customer's point of view, they don't even know who is the owner of the business, and they can't show us or point us to any office.
The total amount to be disbursed is 12,288 Ghana cedis, which comprises 12,096 Ghana cedis being the actual amount frozen by Mobile Money Limited and 192,297 being the interest generated over the period. The disbursement of funds will begin on Friday, August 17. Customers to be considered are only those who invested and have not received any payments, those who invested and got part of their principal paid to them, all those who invested and got their contributions paid in full, along with those who got their contributions and more, do not qualify for the refund. The fund will be disbursed proportionately based on each person's contribution made as against the total investment.
And that's how we round up the business news this evening on News 360. Visit our website, it's 3news.com, for some more business news. We've got some more news on News 360 shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back to News 360. On the international front this evening, moves to ease Turkey's economic woes have failed to stop market turmoil as the country's row with the U.S. deepens. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says on Monday that the U.S. was seeking to stab Turkey in the back. The U.S. last week imposed sanctions on Turkey over its refusal to extradite a U.S. preacher imprisoned in the country. The sanctions caused market turmoil, which the central bank attempted but failed to soothe with a series of market-boosting measures. Mr. Erdogan told a news conference in the Turkish capital Ankara, "They act on one side as a strategic partner, but on another they fire bullets into the foot of strategic partners," saying Turkey and the US are together in NATO, and then the United States seeks to stab its strategic partner in the back. As the crisis deepened at the end of last week, the lira and the Turkish stock market slid sharply. Mr. Erdogan, who has presided over soaring inflation and borrowing levels, says the lira's fall is a result of a plot rather than prevailing economic conditions. Turkey's interior minister said it was taking legal action against 346 social media accounts it claimed had posted comments about the weakening lira in a provocative way. Still on the international front, two senior Kenyan government officials have been charged in courts with fraud over the building of a $3.2 billion Chinese-funded railway line. The two are accused of paying more than $2 million in compensation to private firms which falsely claimed to own land through which the line ran. The officials and 15 other accused have pleaded not guilty to the charges. The railway line was Kenya's biggest infrastructure project since independence from the UK in 1963. President Uhuru Kenyatta opened it in May last year, hailing it as a new chapter in the East African state's history. The line runs between the port city of Mombasa and the capital Nairobi, and construction was completed 18 months early. It is supposed to eventually connect landlocked South Sudan, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Burundi and Ethiopia to the Indian Ocean. But the project has been marred by corruption allegations and claims by economists that the cost was too high. It ran up a loss of about $100 million in its first year of operation. The project was also condemned by wildlife groups as the line runs through the Nairobi National Park and Chavo National Park in southeastern Kenya. Kenya Railways head Atanas Mainia and National Land Commission Chairman Mohammed Swazura were charged with fraud on Monday following their arrest on Saturday. Visit our website, it's 3news.com for some more international news. But let's return to Ghana now, as the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana has suggested officials of the Bank of Ghana, whose negligence led to the recent collapse of the 7 banks in the country, be held responsible and accountable. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Gideon Amisa, has therefore called on the President to set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the collapse of the 7 banks.
The Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana, ISEG, underscored the need for the central bank to fast-track the implementation of the International Finance Reporting Standards IFRS 9 impairment concept and the Basel III. The Chief Executive Officer of ISEG, Gideon Amisa, observed lack of best practice in the banking industry can be blamed for the collapse of the 7 banks.
Other developed countries are already in Basel III. And it is one of the reasons that we landed in this situation, because we were not, operating according to international best practices. Look at corporate governance issues that are popping up. Again, the internal control, risk management, measures were not up to standard as far as the Basel III is concerned. These things are introduced to check some of these, issues that we are currently facing as a country.
He said implementation of the Depositor Protection Scheme as stipulated under the Deposit Protection Act 2016 is long overdue.
So, the Deposit Protection Scheme requires that we establish a Depositors Protection fund, and then that corporation that would help the depositors in case there is a bank run or there is a bank failure that we are seeing. You lose your money, this fund will be available for you to fall on. You need that fund to be operationalized and the scheme to kick off. Uganda has already done it.
Ghanaian taxpayers have had to pay in excess of 8 billion cedis to finance the operations of the private sector business. The institute suggests the president set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the collapse of the 7 banks.
If it is negligence which is causing us this amount, then of course you have to be answerable, and we don't have to even leave it there with the banking supervision, because the amount involved cannot be approved by the supervisory department. The board of the central bank at that time and the governor of the Bank of Ghana at that time would all have to be answerable to the Ghanaian taxpayer.
A lot more to come on that issue, which will bring you some more of in subsequent bulletins. We are still live here on News 360. We've got entertainment news coming up next with Miriam.
Hello there. Tonight our focus is on Roll Call, which took place over the weekend at the Aviation Social Center. The biggest West Africa youth carnival, Roll Call, took place at the Aviation Social Center in Accra on Sunday night, attracting thousands of merrymakers. The socialization platform was also used to caution against the use of drugs.
This year's Roll Call, the 8th edition, fell on International Youth Day. Organizers used the big event to celebrate all young people in Ghana. The theme was to encourage every young person to stay away from drugs, stay in school because education is key. Students took part in competitions in rap, singing, dance, among other exciting side attractions. Artists billed for the show included Kelvin Boy, Eddie K, and B for Bona. Fans were thrilled.
Okay, we are here to see the artists, have fun and everything. Yeah, our gag man, we see art, medical and go, people
And to the artist, it felt great entertaining thousands of SHS leavers.
Yeah, the turn up was massive and everyone jumped to my songs, so Charlie, the feeling was great.
Of course, you know, I've always loved to be here one day, but then, you know, because this is my first time on this show. We've been doing this for some years, 8 years, you know. So it was impromptu. I got the notice this morning, and I was so excited to just come and, you know, at least come and help. You understand? And it was amazing on the stage, you know.
It was amazing. This is not really my crowd, but it was fun. I mean, the kids loved us and everything, so it was fun. And shout outs to Kelvin Boy for coming on stage for us to perform Water Bam Bam. So it was amazing.
Now let's still stay with the roll call because the BIM Nation signee Kelvin Boy gave a massive performance at the just ended socialization event roll call. Let's go back and see how he got everybody on their feet dancing all night.
Winner of the Unsung category of the 2018 VGMA did not disappoint. The Unsung category was created to give new artists their break into the limelight. Kelvin Boy was one of the artists billed to perform at the 2018 roll call, which was held at the Aviation Social Center. The singer gave an amazing performance.
If I don't move up the metri, anytime she go dead my back. Now I see some man one try until my God.
The singer then invited one of his die-hard fans to share the stage with him.
Alright then, do it for my friends and my family. My life,
The female dancehall artist was excited after meeting Kelvin Boy for the first time.
I've been needing him for a very long time. I always want to see him or maybe be on the same stage with him. I like him so much. I like his music and he's doing the best. I think Ghana should support this kind of people so that Ghana music industry will push forward.
Kelvin Boy, after his performance, spoke about the theme of this year's event, #Don'tDoDrugs.
I be them, they know that, you understand? Because Oko Hospital can't about drug. Unum drew baby, I say I really China. Now the other pills now bonnet debia and 2 persons just say, I read debia. Conform video to for no shop. But wow, what you say? So say no to drugs, I beg you, go help you, I beg you.
He was elated about the opportunity in joining Stonebwoy on his Europe tour to promote his album.
I felt blessed, and then it's a good experience, you know. We had some mentality about some staffs, and you know it was totally different, you know. So I think it was a huge experience. I think what's mashing up our industry is unity. Yeah, so we should just unite and all, because Africans are one, and you know Ghana in particular, we should just unite instead of fighting ourselves. We should just unite, because I find plenty and more talent in Ghana.
Flip the money. I'll be everybody who get for me honey, darling, sweetie, how you call it? Sounds you go do if you just sleep. But I'm never boring. If it comes to enemies, another.
And that's the Afrobeat hit maker Kelvin Boy. Away from music, let's go to Tilapia's Corner and see how he's been capturing the new Zongo minister. Well, that's about it for entertainment news. There's more on 3news.com, and I'll be on Radio 3FM 92.7 at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'm Miriam Osei Ajaman.
Miriam,
Hi,
thanks for that there.
How was your weekend? Good?
Very wonderful. We
Yeah.
hope you enjoyed your show as well.
Oh, I did.
Because
Absolutely.
I see you have a wrap around it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this edition of News 360 from the News Hub here in Accra. I am Nisa Morning.
And I'm Natalie Fort. Visit our website. It's 3news.com. You can get some more news on there. Also, News at 10 will simulcast on our sister station. It's 3FM 92.7. Thanks so much for watching. Have a lovely evening.